This is Sybert signing into Tiberium Rift, aka Twisted Rift in Kane's Wrath, featuring the mod One Vision. You are watching the third place match of the One Vision tournament. We've got third place and finals in this video, so let's kick it off with the Cyan Messenger 8, aka Skrin in the north. This is Warmonk. Coming off of that series against Dorado, and as the green-black hand in the bottom right-hand corner, this is Lamas. Coming off of his series against Lumos, so we are going to be seeing Lumos versus Dorado in the finals. Should be a best of 9 in both cases, so we have potentially a lot of games to get to in this video. If you missed the semifinals, definitely check them out. I also have a video kind of going over the mod a little bit, not entirely, but going over the mod with an interview of the mod's creator, the Filthy Casual. I almost called him the Phantom Casual because the guy who put together this tournament, I believe, donated the prize pool, which is $50. Not a lot, but it's something there for playing some Kane's Wrath in 2021. Is Phantom. So big thanks to that guy. He also organized all of the replays for me, and he even included dummy replays. So if a series doesn't go all the way to the end, I don't know it because I just have all of the games. So, or I guess I have dummy games is maybe how that would say. Wow, Messenger 8 just lost all of those descents. Now, Warmonk has chosen to keep that portal around. We saw some rash and risky plays in the semifinals from Warmonk, but it seems like he's got a lot more even keel in this case. He lost those descents, but it wasn't a huge commitment to descents, so he's not out all that much, and it did keep that buggy on the opposite side of the map of Warmonk. So he's got himself up to a good standard economy. He's got a fine economy, natural expansion timing. He's going to be feeling pretty good about the rest of this game. He's got himself a solid foundation upon which to stand for the remainder of this map. We'll see what happens. You know, he might go a little bit crazy in some of the other games with rushes and risky plays. But for the current moment, everything's looking pretty good. Big thanks to those who decide to support the channel on Patreon. I use it like a tip jar, and of course all the videos are free. But for those who want to go above and beyond, there is the Patreon. So big thanks to those folks. And if you're unfamiliar with the One Vision mod and you didn't watch, this power plant is actually getting a little bit low, and you didn't watch the interview, you can think of One Vision as kind of similar to 1.02 Plus and 1.03 in that it's trying to answer that question of what if Kane's Wrath had more development time, more post-release support, or perhaps maybe is a little more apt in the One Vision sense, what if there was another expansion for Tib Wars? And what would, if we added more units, more abilities, upgrades, support powers, what would it look like? So all three of those projects, those community projects, are attempting to make Kane's Wrath a better competitive experience. They're focused on, when you're playing another guy, what is the optimal operation center before second refinery, and it's right on the front line in a pretty obvious spot. But all three of these community projects are attempting to create peak competitive Kane's Wrath, and they're using three different methodologies for it. A couple of Scorpion tanks here from Lamas, going to be able to push back those Seekers. Now this is covering an expansion, so Warmonk behind this, double refinery on the natural. Actually, I think his refinery, his expansion timing was maybe a little bit sooner, but he's even so, I mean, he's got his extra refs up in time. He's got everything timed out nicely. Got a second war factory cranking as well. So a little bit of pressure, a couple of scouting groups here and there for Warmonk, but no big commitments to kind of end the game one way or the other. Tier 2 is up, the nerve center getting deployed in the main base. And the Scorpion tanks on the other side of the map for Lamas heading back down south. Looks like they just got the auto loader upgrade, so they've got a little bit of extra firepower in their hands. Third base will kind of be a telling move for Warmonk. In this case, he is going to go Tier 3 before his third base. He's going for that Tier 3 at the natural expansion. He's got his dev tanks cranking, and he might be looking to do a big 2-base push. We'll see how this continues. But at the current moment, these guys are playing almost a very similar game to each other in the general tempo of how they're approaching this. Get those early game big swell of units, those, I guess, low-tech big swell of units, I should say, in the mid-game, get some upgrades, and then slowly work towards that tech. It's not a big eco-boom kind of game. It's not a rush. It's just kind of right down the middle. We're going to play it really safe. We're going to play it with some early game units, but with some upgrades to make them a little more viable. Upgrades perhaps a little light on the Warmonk side. He doesn't have any upgrades for his main group of units. Could see some abilities be used, maybe some shield uplink. No, the Scorpion tanks are actually just catching a good group of this low-tech Scrin. Kind of this terrain working against Warmonk a little bit here, and those Scorpion tanks getting off a lot of extra damage that they wouldn't have been able to on a more open, flat area. Scorpion tanks trying to avoid these dev tanks, trying to avoid these tripods as well. Descent and dev tanks managing to grab one, almost a second Scorpion tank, very low on health, that second Scorpion tank. And behind this, Lamos is going for that third base. Warmonk doing the same, so they're both covering an expansion with this movement. Dev tanks taking some shots at those buggies. The buggies leading the army a little bit too much, which means it's all Scorpion tanks after this. Fortunately for Lamos, most of the descents have already been cleaned up, so there's not a lot of infantry presence in this army for those buggies to deal with. Reverse move and pathing, sending a couple of these Scorpions in the wrong direction, and we can see a number of these upgrades finishing up for Warmonk. He has got himself a bit of a tougher army to kill with those attack upgrades that just finished up moments ago. Buggies coming in the south. They have got themselves Purifying Flame. Going to be doing that extra bit of damage. Tripods crunching in on this army. Keep in mind, Lamos is getting a third behind this, but he really wants to do some damage. Sniping one Harvester is nice, but trading out his entire army for it isn't the best. He's going to try and shut down the main base. Maybe he can strike down the War Factory, but is that enough? I should think not. A couple of units escaping on the south side. They might be able to pick up a couple more Harvester kills. One tripod going down. These refineries going to be shut down as well. These aren't the most important, but this may be more important as the game progresses on. Both refineries get sniped, and the power plant as well. If the Tier 2 gets sniped, that would be a nice kill also. Ooh, another Harvester may end up going down. Dev tanks responding, not in the north, not so many dev tanks, but tripods as well as a couple of dev tanks. Warmonk honestly getting kind of pulled apart here in different directions. His focus is lapsing, and he's losing a lot just while his army transfers from one corner to the other. 3 dev tanks up here with the descents are going to be able to eat up the rest of these Scorpion tanks. Some costly moves for Lamos, but honestly, all things considered, I think this has paid off for him. He's delayed all of the economy at the third base by a good margin, and it looks like behind the scenes he's been getting his own upgrades. Is that a second secret shrine? I would have swore that he had one of these earlier, or I guess Shrine of War. He had one of these earlier, and he got at least, I guess, a Purifying Flame upgrade. He's getting something else, maybe Night Shard plating, and he got maybe Cabal's leading him or something. I don't know. We'll see. Black Hand Squad's leading him, I guess. Rocket Squad's on the front line with these Confessors, but Tripod's going to be going for the stomp. One tripod going down to the infantry as the buzzers get called in for support. None of the tripods have actually gone down. There are a couple that are very close to being eliminated as the Black Disciple upgrade finishes up. Dev tanks and tripods going to town on those harvesters, descents and buzzers closing in, but finally, Warmonk maybe getting pushed back here. Phase getting activated to go for the crush, and he's going to be able to clean up the infantry, keep up the damage, and it looks like Llamas was not really able to establish too much economy here long term. It washed all away. It got all washed away as Warmonk descends upon this base. The production getting shut down, and Llamas, it looked like he had a plan to transition out from his natural expansion, but it fell apart as soon as Warmonk walked up there. He just had too much stuff. Good use of support powers as well by Warmonk to guarantee the win here, and Llamas is going to have to pull something really out of nothing to make this one work. He's got a couple of units in the natural expansion. Actually, this could turn into a base race. The unfortunate thing for Llamas is he's already lost the majority of his outlier building, so it's going to be a relatively easy cleanup for Warmonk, especially since Warmonk still has his MCV moving out through the middle of the map, and there just isn't that much stuff left for Llamas. So Llamas trying to engage with a bit of a base race, but it's sort of futile in effort. War Factory going down, power plants getting eliminated. I think just this refinery and this weakened power plant are the only things left. Warmonk closing in for the win, and that will do it. Llamas has been defeated. The GG gets called. He was going to try and extend it out, and maybe if his MCV had been able to escape, he would have had a chance, but ultimately Warmonk takes the game, taking some big losses in the middle there, but ultimately that fast tech getting out those tripod numbers, it was enough when he finally got them all together on the offense. Llamas takes the L in game number 1, and Warmonk is feeling good in the third place match, which sends us to Tournament Airstrip. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of this map. It's very flat, very open, but just enough terrain breakup, just enough of a design that I think it always is sort of moving forward. It's never slouching. On the right side, as the Cyan Messenger 8, this is Warmonk. And as the green Black Hand on the left side, this is Llamas. Llamas, I think, losing on Airstrip in his semifinal, so this is his shot at redemption in a sense. Obviously, he's up against a different player. How do Leeches do against 2 Cabal squads? Maybe we won't find out, as it looks like the Leeches can outpace the Cabal squad, so that's something good to know, the scout speed of those 2 factions. I don't know that anyone is going for the contested spike in the middle. It looks like the Leeches were maybe predicting that Llamas was going to try for it, but Warmonk comes up empty in that sense. No engineer kill, it seems, for him. Once again, Warmonk keeps the portal. As I was saying it, he keeps the portal around, only to sell it off. All right, double refinery. Lovely split on those refineries. Very far apart. War Factory even further away. And second refinery up and running for Warmonk as well. 4 harvesters on the field. Is anyone going for the stealing of the blue Tiberium? It looks like no. Economic-focused openings so far from both of these guys. They might throw a little switch up into the game in a moment, but for the current moment, just going for the normal. These power plant kills can be so annoying, but just going for standard builds right out of the gate. I love this little this power plant attack. It's like when those GDI players use just one rifleman to be so annoying. To go for the kill on your power plant, you have to clear it out. It takes a minute. Seeker Tank is going to be able to clean up that buggy, and the power plant will be saved. Warmonk won't be losing that power plant today. Ooh, Hand of Nod in the south. Engineer, maybe? Yeah, Engineer on the way to the contested spike, so that Leech really missed its opportunity. I think he sort of realizes it now. I think it's too late. The leech does move quick, but the engineer is very close to that spike. The leech is going to miss their opportunity. Warmonk just a moment too late. If he was a bit quicker. Oh, second leech from the south almost gets it, but the Gunwalker coming in from the right side as well. Very slight advantages, perhaps, for Llamas. Double War Factory, or rather second War Factory coming up before the fourth refinery for Llamas. Sometimes that can be a trigger of a big mid-game push, but it gets scouted nice and early. Interestingly, Llamas keeps the barracks around as well. And, ooh, an ops center also, possibly just for auto-loaders. We shall see. Seeker tanks taking their damage, doing a bit of keeping an eye on their opponent. Just want to keep you honest. I love this response from Warmonk. Goes right into the portal. I assume it's a War Factory behind that. No, it's a Nerve Center. Could be going for upgrades or could be going for Tier 3 before his second War Factory. Classic sell-off of that Hand of Nod a little bit late. And what is it? Okay, second refinery finally coming up. So this is going to be perhaps a transition point for the mid-game. No one's stealing the blue Tiberium just yet, it seems. One Seeker tank. It seems Warmonk played his bet in the south. He said, I think this guy is going to attack my natural expansion. Third War Factory, wow, on 2 bases, and this gets scouted exactly right. This could be a War Factory cell in the north. A couple of dev tanks to clean up the buggies and the descents, responding eventually to the Scorpions. Auto-loaders being a target and a happy upgrade for pretty much everyone. Everyone loves auto-loaders when they play Nod, when they play Scrin, rather. Or Black Hand, rather. Not Scrin. But everyone's really been liking that auto-loader upgrade, and it seems like it's one that they get quite early on. More descents in the south, looking for damage, looking for a third expansion, a pickup of the MCV it transitions. 3 War Factories, probably no fast Tier 3, although there it is coming up. He's going to be out of cash relatively soon. I mean, this is a lot of stuff that he just dumped out money on. So I'm not sure how much he really is utilizing all 3 of those War Factories at once. But this is a lot of Scorpion tanks, quite a lot of buggies as well. That auto-loader makes it even more powerful of an attack. And the Scorcher buggies make for a happy combination here. Those force fields turning sideways in a kind of a weird way. Harvester transferring to the third base, does so relatively safely. Tier 3 up and running for Warmonk. He goes for the phase on the tripod, and he's going to be going for the crushes of the buggies of the Scorpion tanks. And for the current moment, that tripod is absorbing a lot of the firepower of Llamas's forces. 2 more tripods, 2 more dev tanks step forward to the front line just as their upgrades finish up a moment too late. The Scorpion tanks getting low in health, standing strong just barely as the 2 dev tanks come within inches of falling. Llamas keeping the pressure up. 3 War Factories, no third base, and a Harvester in the middle of the map for Warmonk. Second War Factory could be getting shut down almost entirely by these Scorcher buggies, as there goes the production, and the portal might be the next target for these buggies, keeping those descent numbers down, letting the Scorpion tank reinforcements deal with that tripod, and this is going to be a difficult attack to stop with limited production from Warmonk. He's just pumping out buggies, or pumping out descents into the arms and the waiting flames of those Scorcher buggies. Storm Column a moment too late, as the Scorpions have already cleaned up the majority of the army, and from this position they can kill even more production, even more economy, maybe even wipe out some of this infrastructure that he's placing down. More and more power plants getting eliminated rather than just dealing with the Storm Column, and selling off the Buzzer Hive is what you have to do to try and survive. So much damage being done, but will it be enough? Warmonk, if he had a couple of more units, would be able to clean this up without too much trouble. But this piecemeal, one tripod at a time, is not enough to stop this army. Ion Storm getting called in, but Warmonk calls the GG as his Tier 3 gets targeted down, and Lamas takes another win. Warmonk fighting back, but Lamas ultimately taking the victory in that game. Good show from both players. Lamas putting some points on the board and going to be feeling good about his performance in this game, but can he do more than Scorpion Buggy with upgrades? Let's find out in the next match, which sends us to Tournament Highlands. Right at the end of game number 2, I thought it was actually game number 3, but no, this is game number 3. These matches compared to the semifinals, which I just came from casting, they feel so much longer, and it feels like this series is actually more games than it is. But 2 great games to start off this series for a 1-1 score. And still, playing as green, playing as Black Hand on the right side, this is Lamas! And on the left side, the Cyan Messenger 8 once more, this is Warmonk. Making it to the 3rd place match. Big thanks to these guys for playing this series out. It was, I was a little bit apprehensive coming in here. Oh, it keeps the portal around again. Interesting. Warmonk seems to like that. I assume it's a sort of insurance policy. You know, if there's something crazy coming out, he doesn't have to take time to rebuild that portal. He can just start pumping descents. But yeah, for the current moment, I don't think it's going to be too wild from Lamas. Let's see what this next building is, just to confirm. Ooh, okay, Operations Center, keep the portal around. You want to know about this. You want to have the option. Anyways, I was a little bit apprehensive about how this series was going to go. I mean, it's a 3rd place match. It's a best of 9. Are they really going to be taking it seriously? Are they actually going to try? Is someone just going to goof off and give us terrible games? But no, game number 1, game number 2, looking pretty fresh, looking pretty good. I'm loving the performance from Warmonk and Lamas. I feel like these guys are pretty evenly matched. Maybe one of them is actually a little bit better in typical 1v1s in Kane's Wrath, but here in One Vision, they seem to be trading blows pretty well. Harvesters out here for Warmonk, and does he know about this flame tank? I think the answer is no. Perhaps a little light on the scout. Reckoner is going to be going out, so this is a reasonably powered rush, but it is not a like a crazy aggressive rush. Okay, these 2 Seeker tanks. Warmonk has a little bit of a star sense about this, kind of realizing that there might be flame tanks heading through them. Did he not see that? Oh, he may have completely... Okay, no. The Seekers turn to the south. They're going to be hunting this flame tank, but they were maybe a little behind in the timing of when they could have caught that flame tank. And actually, Warmonk is going to maybe get played here as the Reckoner is going to be the real damage dealer, the real threat. Is going to be these 2 Black Hand squads. No, where are you going? Oh, no! It's getting pushed away. What? What just happened? Did Lamas just shoot himself in the foot? What? The Reckoner, maybe it couldn't get through the gap. I mean, it looks like it could make it through that gap, but it's not always clear. And then it rushed over to the right, and it had health, but it didn't deploy, and then it auto-deployed, and that was terrible. Lamas is, I guess he's not dead in the water. Like, he can transition out of this, but Warmonk can either go really big on the pressure, drop a second War Factory nice and quick, pump out a handful of Descents, bunch of Seekers, bunch of Gunwalkers, and go, 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 or he can play this out extra greedy, get as many Harvesters and Refineries as he can, quick establishment of the contested 3rd field, and transition into a late game with just an overwhelming amount of stuff. He's going to be ahead on the eco for the rest of this game. Look at that lovely rebuilding of the ops center in the south. This is almost a fake-out expansion at this point. We'll see if it's going to be... No, it's not even a refinery here. He's placing the buildings in such a way that makes no sense for more refineries. I guess, I mean, you could get a refinery there and there. But sort of the optimal placements for refineries are all gummed up by Llamas. So this is either going to be just a one-base play with a little bit spread out production, or it's going to be a super-duper delay on the natural expansion and just an awkward, wonky transition for the rest of the game, hoblobbing around and looking for answers, but ultimately coming up just slow and behind the times. Llamas transferring 2 harvesters. One of these harvesters was, I think, already down here and doing a bit of harvesting, and then there were no refineries, so it went back up north. Llamas drops the second war factory, gets that ops center up, so he's going to have a decent amount of production. But again, as we transition towards the third base, as Warmonk gets up to his tier 3, he is just going to be able to outproduce the other guy. And as long as he doesn't give away big chunks of his army, he will have an army advantage for the rest of the game, and it's up to him to handle those engagements well. And did auto... Yeah, auto-loader's already finished, so... Low-power ops center, not a big deal. Auto-loader being such a critical upgrade, it feels like in these games. Stealing the blue tib from the south, maybe getting a load of blue Tiberium in the north as well. But Warmonk taking the one that is closer to the natural expansion of his opponent and doing so relatively safely. Oh, one flame tank sniped in his own base. Llamas just getting shut down. Warmonk with the double war factory at the natural expansion. Is he triple pumping tripods? You gotta be kidding me. This guy pumping out so many tripods that you aren't going to be able to stop him. He's just going to go tripods for the rest of time, but it's going to be triple war factory, and now that he's up to these 4 refineries, he's got his economy pumping, he can play the defensive game, and he's got a good amount of production. Llamas does not want to get caught out in the open. He does not have the superior force. Unless he finds a killer angle here, this army is just going to get destroyed by the forces and the quick reinforcements of Warmonk. Okay, no, he turns around and he says, oh well, I guess that was it. He just wanted to poke in. I don't know what that was from Llamas. Llamas was just hoping that Warmonk went brain dead for a moment, but he's going to get the tier 3, the flame tank that scooted all the way around the side of the map. Does get that kill, and that's going to slow down the tripods. Now, it doesn't do anything to stop the stuff that's already here, but if he gets a refinery again, oh my gosh, Warmonk letting the second refinery fall. Is he just happy with this? I mean, if there was less Tiberium, I would say that's okay. You could just transition into your third field and just let 3 harvesters, you know, work away at this, even though it's not exactly efficient. You get them turning into a parking lot. But this is just like right on the edge of too much Tiberium to feel comfortable leaving it like that. Llamas going to be stealing blue Tiberium from the south. Again, it looks like no one going for the Tiberium in the north. I say that as Warmonk sends a harvester over. Tripods coming in, dev tanks and corruptors going to be the follow-up. Stasis chamber is here. Nerve center survived. Flame tank burning down the tib spike in the corner. Good on Llamas, killing off both of the tib spikes of Warmonk. He's going to have as much of an advantage as he can. MCV moving towards the middle. Autoloader, Scorpions, and Buggies. This is the one unit comp that Llamas has found success with. Couple of those Scorpions going down, and it's just going to be a base trade. He is saying, I'm going to kill your stuff faster than you can kill me. These dev tanks trading okay with considering the Scorpion tank numbers in the middle of the map. Those Scorpion tanks, once they all get the surround, can just go for the kill right in one shot. War Factory's pumping more Scorpions, but this is too many tripods for those reinforcements. Shut down the tier 3. Oh, no, the Scorpions turn around. What is the deal here? Are they hoping to catch the MCV? It's cut off to the north. Charles just says, I am out of here. One War Factory finally going down. The refinery's getting eliminated. The Operations Center is down as well. The second War Factory's still pumping. The second at the natural expansion, that is. Reinforcing tripods get cleaned up. The army of Warmonk needs to kind of hold together so it doesn't get caught by these Scorpion tanks. Lovely stasis shield there, cutting this army in half, allowing these tripods to do massive, massive damage. Reinforcing tripods, catching a couple of these Scorpion tanks. Llamas fumbling on the reinforcement path, letting so many Scorpion tanks go down to those tripod crushes. That stasis shield doing so much to divert this army, to split it up, and to cause absolute havoc amongst the pathing system of Kane's Wrath. That was a mess from Lammas. Warmonk, he took an advantage and a win and just brutalized Lammas with it in the last 30 seconds or so. Lammas kind of had a chance there. If he had been able to scoot his MCV out and away, he could have turned it into a base race and just gone for the buildings. But again, then it's sort of like eventually we're going to get down to who's chasing whose MCV, and Lammas just wants to avoid that army. But man, that stasis just absolutely brutalized the army of Lammas. And that will do it for game number 3. Warmonk takes the lead back in this series, sending us into game number 4, which takes us to Tournament Arena. We've seen some smashed maps. We've seen some new maps, and now we're seeing an old classic. As the Cyan, Messenger 8, this is Warmonk. Brutal win there in game number 3. And as the Green Black Hand, this is Lammas. Lammas says, I have found some stuff that works. Scorpion tanks, they're good unit even in Kane's Wrath. Buggies, Scorpion tank buggy, good combo. Scorcher buggies, auto-loader Scorpions, way better combo. Does definitely have some weak points. It has a good mid-game, early game, mid-game punch. But man, as we saw, those tripods in the right situation can just go bananas on the efficiency chart. Those couple of tripods, those like 2 tripods, did so much damage to delay the reinforcements and kill off a big chunk of them. And that was just, that was one part the pathing of Kane's Wrath, and that was one part, Lammas not being more, or being maybe indecisive in how he should handle that, or not being more prepared with his unit positioning. I don't know, but you could definitely see the Kane's Wrath pathing coming to bear in that moment. Warmonk played that out very nicely, very well, very smart, but it was even more brutal because of the Kane's Wrath pathing. Ooh, we get to see the armor activated once again. Black Cloak gives you a little armor boost, and that's something that we saw play a very minor factor in the semifinal, Lammas versus Lumos. So we're seeing it come back in this particular case. So yeah, the patterns are emerging. This Harvester might be saved. I think it should be fine with the, no, Harvester will be fine. Now that the Scorpion tank is out, the Seeker tank will die, and could be the second wave that actually gets the kill on that Harvester. Lammas is probably going to want to send that Harvester back to work immediately, and I don't know if that's actually a good idea, but in this case, Tiberium Riparius. So Ripperino, because Tiberium crystal is named Riparius? I don't know, that's weird. That Harvester wants to get back to work, Lammas says, but ultimately that may just be its downfall, as a second wave of attack will come in at some point, and that Harvester will be an obvious target. Lammas doing a good job sending out little scouting confessors here and there. Scorps and this buggy gonna try and chase down that Seeker tank. Wow, that is a very conservative War Factory placement. So normally, whoa, okay, we have got Ichor Seed and Force Field Uplink both being activated at the same time. That's kind of interesting that Ichor Seed getting deployed directly in front of that War Factory. I'm assuming he's doing that for the power-up, yeah. I'm not sure. Obviously, Tiberium, Corruptor Tiberium heals vehicles, and infantry heal up when they are actually standing. But do vehicles heal up just by standing in Tiberium? I don't actually remember. It appears no. It appears that's just infantry that heal up when standing in Tiberium. Op Center is here, second War Factory up, but of course this is after the first refinery on the natural expansion. Warmonk gets both of his refineries up and running. Now keep in mind there is a good amount of blue Tiberium to be harvested. Either one of these players could be going for that, and sometimes we do see someone try and sneak the blue Tiberium of their opponent out from under them. What is this? Oh, it's a Scorcher buggy in the back line. It's not too much to worry about. Scorp tanks on the front line get pushed away. We saw the Ops Center get deployed, an autoloader kind of being a default upgrade. You almost don't even want to engage without it. And only 1,500 credits, 45 seconds. You might as well get that underway. Get it operational as soon as you can. Extra bit of harvesting or extra bit of Tiberium at the expansion with the Ichor seed will just help that field last a smidge longer. Dev tanks wasting a bit of their Tiberium, force firing on the ground as Warmonk gathers all of his forces together. He wanted a tight group as possible, as tight of a group as possible for his shield uplink. No big commitment to air units. I mean, we haven't seen any kind of attempt to go Storm Riders, even though Storm Riders would do phenomenally against the composition. Warmonk has just been happy to play it the Dev Tank, Seeker Tank, Gunwalker way, and this is actually a bit of a surround coming in from these Scorpion tanks. Will they actually be able to stand against the superior firepower of the Dev tanks? One Harvester, two Harvesters down, a third Harvester dangerously close to being eliminated as the Dev tanks get descended upon by these Scorpions. I don't know that the numbers are good enough for Lamas, as he is going to be losing a third Harvester, and he still has more forces closing in. Stasis Shield once again locking down, it looks like 4 of those Scorpion tanks, and Lamas in a bad spot, trying to push away the last of these high-damage forces. The Dev tanks have fallen, just really the Seeker tanks as far as cleaning up Harvesters, but a refinery and 3 or 4 Harvesters went down. Warmonk striking some critical damage to the infrastructure of Lamas. Oh, the Flame Tank! Oh, the Flame Tank by Lamas, the sneaky play around the side, and Warmonk takes the L. That actually was a do-or-die situation. I did not realize it, as Warmonk was looking fantastic on the economy graph. He was looking fantastic to transition into a Tier 3 army, into a late-game situation, but that Flame Tank changing everything, and it looks like Lamas burned his way to victory in game number 4, which takes us to Smashed Dust Bowl. Holy cow, that Flame Tank doing so much to even the score and to completely win that game pretty much in the last one in the north as the Cyan Marked of Kane. This is Warmonk. And sticking with that black hand, sticking with that green color in the south, this is Lamas. Wow, Lamas able to kind of pull victory out of the jaws of defeat. Without that Flame Tank, he would have just been in a terrible spot to continue that match. But with all of this stuff that Flame Tank cleared out, are the Tiberium Troopers the basic guy? No, interesting. Warmonk keeps... Oh, no! The Engineer gets sniped anyways! Warmonk loses the Engineer. He tried to be sneaky. He tried to go for the kill on his opponent's Engineer and get his opponent's Spike in kind of a 1-2 punch. But in the end, he just lost his own Engineer. And yeah, it looks like you get some Tib Troopers when you're Marked of Kane. That's just basic infantry, apparently. I didn't realize that. Again, I am learning about this mod alongside with you guys. I did the overview of the Core 3 factions and a lot of the changes made there, but I did not go over all 9 factions/sub-factions to go over everything there. Warmonk going for a pretty standard expansion timing. Now, this triangle base setup sometimes does cause problems as you transition towards your third base down here for Charles or up here for Lamas. And that may cause either one of these players... Oh, man, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing with the buggy where you burn down the Nod power plant. Oh, Lamas, you sneaky, sneaky boy, causing so many problems. I assume a Scorpion tank going to come on out of there. Repairs should be activated on that power plant to go ahead and bring its health back up. And, well, Lamas going for just pretty standard, pretty straightforward transition onto his natural expansion. Warmonk doing the same thing. Okay, double Mantis. I'm going to guess that Mantis is not an anti-air only kind of vehicle. So I'm guessing this is the bike replacement for... Ooh, that harvester is not working. That is very annoying. Warmonk not realizing that one of his harvesters is offline. 1/8% perhaps of his economy just not doing anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/7 of his economy doing nothing for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. Probably won't be a game decider, but all of his timings are going to be a little bit slow. All of his cash flow is going to be a little bit weak. Refinery into an ops center, so I'm not super familiar with these. Cyborg repair drones, EMP coils, so enlightened cyborgs with EMP coils. Interesting. Okay, here we go. We have got ourselves a Centurion on the map. That is something that is definitely very new. And the Scorcher buggy going to be drawing the attention of a couple of these Mantises? Manti? Mantis? I don't know. And the Centurion's popping on out. Fully mechanized Marked of Kane division. Mantis gets cleaned up as the Scorpion tanks looking for their fight. Autoloaders 99% done or so. Triple War Factory. So this is after the 4th War Refinery, so it's going to be just lots of production. Once again, Lamas a big believer in the Scorpion tank army, a big believer in that combo. What kind of upgrades do we have? Just supercharged particle beams, so extra attack damage for the Centurions. Let's see how the Mantis and the Centurions do against these Scorpion tanks. Mantises, again, kind of filling that role of the bike, dying very quickly. Tib Troopers getting the slow on these Scorpions as they try and retreat away, it seems. And one Scorpion going to stay behind. Supercharged particle beam seems like it'll definitely be a good addition. MCV moving to the 3rd base, and Lamas knows it. He gets the perfect scout on that MCV move. Lamas going for charged particle beams himself, matching those attack animations of his opponent. Scorcher buggy being annoying, but ultimately not going to really do too much. Should be dealt with relatively easily. That Scorpion tank twisting its hips out to the side. And that's Stealth Tank, not Scorpion Tank. That Stealth Tank going to be able to clean up this Raider buggy, perhaps. All right, Scorpion Tank closing in. Auto loaders versus supercharged particle beams? I'm not actually sure. These Reapers pushing away these tanks and actually doing an okay job of it. The tanks trading pretty poorly against the Reapers, but the Reapers don't kill the tanks too quickly. Fully robotic, mechanized division of the Marked of Kane. Going to be able to push that attack back. Lamas may not be exactly prepared. Scorpion tanks taking a bit of damage as they crush these Reapers in the middle of the map. And it looks like it's going to be a 2-pronged attack, perhaps, from Warmonk. Hitting the 3rd base while distracting the Scorpions near the middle of the map. Scorcher's going to be able to clean up these Reapers. And the Reapers doing a bit of damage, but ultimately not trading very well against those Raider buggies, those Scorcher buggies. Tech Lab has finished up. No supercharged particle beams just yet, but these Scorpions are getting wasted regardless. Centurion standing quite tall against these, and the laser turret is also here to do with that extra bit of damage against those Scorpions. Scorcher buggies trying to even the odds, trying to stop the man spam from being effective, and it's just Scorpion tanks to win the day for Lamas. He's going to be able to shut down this 3rd base, it looks like. He might be able to take a match point advantage for this series. For the first time, he's going to have the score advantage if he's able to roll this third base attack into a win. And yes, he will. GG gets called. Warmonk has been defeated. And Warmonk's score slips just a little bit. This is a best of 9, so being up just one game is not the biggest deal at this point in the series. Warmonk still definitely has a shot to take this back. Slipping a little. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to choose Mark of Kane, but I do love that he got to show us some cool new units and upgrades, even though if we didn't get to see them for very long. That will do it for this game. Let's jump into game number 6, which sends us to the lovely Six City, USA. Actually, it's just called Six City, but I always just love the look of this town. It's annoying to play on because of all the buildings, but in the north, as the Orange RRF, bringing out the GDI, this is Warmonk. And I bet you will never guess who the opponent is. Indeed, as the green, as the black hand, this is Lamas. I guess it's the old adage, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And in this case, you know, black hand, 80% score buggy, 20% other stuff. It's been working pretty well for Lamas, so why change it up? Warmonk, we've gotten to see a little bit of experimentation. Again, I love that he went for something a tad bit different with that Mark of Kane. We got to see some cool stuff there, but now we're back to some classic GDI, and this is where kind of playing this out in a very similar fashion to a straight-up Kane's Wrath match might be the way to go. Pred APC, maybe a big Pitbull push or a Orca transition, and you could do a lot with that. Scorcher Buggies, auto-loading Scorpions, gonna make this a little bit more of a powerful punch coming up from Lamas, but ultimately, Predator tanks, some defensive play, some upgrades of your own, and Warmonk might be quite comfortable to even the score up 3-3. At any rate, I would love to see us go all the way in this series, and I think Warmonk, at this point, definitely either player could take it. I hope Warmonk doesn't get tilted one way or the other, because he's been showing us some great games in this series so far. Redeploys the MCV. What do you see, Warmonk? Or Lamas, what do you see? He's got the triple power plant already. I mean, he could power down the Hand of Nod. But, yeah, he moved his MCV for just a moment. Ooh, he goes for this Shrine of War, a.k.a. the Secret Shrine. He's going to get himself some upgrades while his MCV moves. Wanted to prioritize that, which is interesting that he didn't go op center either for some flame tanks or just the auto-loading upgrade. Lots of harvesters coming out for Lamas. Refinery first at the natural expansion for Warmonk. Pred APC, even a rifleman inside of that APC to try and clear out some of these buildings. Scorcher Buggy burning down the bridge. Oh, that's brutal. Lamas with the kill of the Blue Tiberium Bridge for Warmonk. So Warmonk is going to have to go down to the south, which can be a bit of a drive, but Lamas is already taking that Blue Tiberium there from the south. So Lamas really trying to set himself up for a very solid mid-game. He gets himself the Black Disciple upgrade. Could even be going Purifying Flame after that, but at the very least, he's got Black Disciple, so he's got those flame units packed along with every Cabal squad. Second War Factory is up and running. Shatterers are here. Command Post is here. AP ammo has not been started yet, but it's going to be utilized for that airfield. Hammerheads or Orcas. Either one could be a good choice, and it's always nice to send 4 Orcas into a natural expansion or into an unprotected main base as your opponent is looking to transition into their natural expansion, into their late game, all of that kind of stuff. And then suddenly you hit them, bam, 4 Orcas. You hit a bunch of harvesters, you refuel, you hit them again. But Hammerheads are good as well. AP ammo and not a lot of other upgrades for the hammerheads in this at this stage. We might get to see the turbines upgrade if he goes up to tier 3. We'll see. I mean, that is a speed boost for both the Predators and the Shatterers. Tanks moving through the middle of the map, taking a bunch of damage from those rockets, and the Hammerhead trying to clear the ground. Those Preds and the Shatterers just kind of dying to these rocket forces, sort of surrounding them as the Hammerhead gets cleaned up as well. And now this attack kind of falling apart as Warmonk doesn't quite keep all of his forces in a strong point. Getting a little bit distracted perhaps by these Scorpion tanks sneaking into the back of his base. Still no AP ammo for Warmonk. Oh, no AP ammo even started, so he is, I guess, just really not feeling like the AP ammo is worth it, whereas in Kane's Wrath, much more. You see it all the time. Hammerhead starting to engage. No Grenadiers to clear out this building, although it does die pretty darn quickly when this many Shatterers are shooting it. Harvester here on the front line. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if that was a misclick, but either way, the Harvester there absorbing some shots, saving perhaps a Shatterer or a Predator tank. These couple of Scorpion tanks finally going down, getting cleaned up as this infantry transition is the strength of Lamas. And he just has not built any real vehicles to combat the army of his opponent. He's going pure infantry, and that is starting to run out as the Shatterers and the Hammerheads, now working in concert, are clearing up big swaths of this man spam, really without any good answer. A couple of the Shatterers do go down, but now the Shatterers have turned their attention onto the high ground. They clear out most of the rockets. The Black Hand Squad's causing some actual problems as they take more shots to actually clear up. No reinforcements, though, from Warmonk. So he's, I guess, eventually going to be losing this army as it just slowly gets whittled away. Orca Strike comes in, doesn't quite clear up the Hand of Nod, but does a bit of damage. And I'm guessing just Shatterers and Watchtowers will be able to push this away. Some upgrade starts as 3 refineries on this big natural expansion field for Warmonk. Yeah, Watchtowers and Shatter is able to pretty easily push this attack away. I'm not sure why he's refusing to build anything other than infantry. It seems like, you know, either going into avatars or some kind of late-game transition would be a good idea, even if you use the man spam to then get into a whole bunch of Scorpion tanks. That would also be probably better. Double airfield as the Hammerhead production continues, and it is just all Shatterers, all Hammerheads all day. Looks like AP ammo maybe just finished up. Yeah, so Warmonk getting AP ammo eventually, getting that double Hammerhead action going on. And again, lots of Shatterers. No tier 3 it looks like, so no upgrades, no Marv, nothing like that just yet for Warmonk. Warmonk going to be able to catch some of these reinforcements, jumps on this little pocket of rockets back at the Hands of Nod, and might actually be able to just shut down the Hands of Nod straight up. And again, no vehicles to contend with this, so the infantry just kind of falls apart there. Great execution there by Warmonk, choosing to split the army in half, kind of recognizing that there was a real opportunity to step in and do some damage. And now because is Lamas, like, just floating a ton of cash? Now he's only floating 5K, so it's not like he has 10K in the bank, but he's about to have nothing in the bank as the Shatterers and the Hammerheads descend on this base, and that does it. We are at ourselves a 3-3 map score situation. Warmonk bringing it back. Big show to that guy. Big congrats to that guy for coming back and not getting tilted. It means we are going into potentially our final 3 games of this best of 9. Both of these guys showing a good fight and going even toe-to-toe, 3-3, going into game number 7. And that brings us to Tournament Odyssey, with its EMP control center in the middle of the map. As the Cyan, once again playing Messenger 8, this is Warmonk. He has shown us a nice little variety over the course of these 6, now 7 games. Meanwhile, in the South, sticking with what works, even when it doesn't always win, this is Llamas. Llamas knows his strengths, and he is playing for exactly that. I do like mixing up the strategies, trying some different things. I don't know that the all-infantry build is the best one on the table if you consider all of the builds that exist. Pure infantry out of like 4 barracks doesn't seem like a good long-term strategy. So I don't know. I do like that Llamas tried to do something different, but I don't like that he just decided to build infantry for some reason and just do only infantry. But, his choice. Anyways, Warmonk handling that very well. He was like, oh, I can just build Shatterers and Hammerheads and AP ammo, and that actually works pretty nicely. Double refinery, 3 harvesters. Looking pretty standard for Llamas. We'll see if there's a operations center in the future for a little flame tank spice. No rushes, nothing too all-in or super committee from Llamas. Ooh, triple power plant packs up the MCV, so not a big deal there. He is not concerned about getting any kind of, throwing any wrench into the works. Lovely scout here by Warmonk with the leeches heading through the middle of the base. Llamas doing the same exact thing, so both of these guys are very familiar with what the other one is doing. MCV a little bit vulnerable here as it does not deploy right away, and that could have been problematic. Ultimately, it was totally fine. These descents not close enough to be able to jump on that MCV and cause problems. It's going to be a lovely mid-game, macro-oriented kind of match. Refinery right out of the gate at the natural expansion. Probably a refinery over here as well, and everything's happy. Oh, he doesn't... I thought he was going to jump on that harvester, but he didn't. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Okay, he's not waiting for anything. He's go, go, go. And these descents going to come in here. They're going to get themselves a harvester. They might be able to get themselves 2 harvesters. Let's see how the juking is. Let's see how the control is. The harvester did not get pulled off the line fast enough. No shredder turret is queued, activates that black cloak, and he may barely be able to save it with Scorcher. Yes, he does! Oh, I thought it was going to die, but no, the lightning spike is going to get it! Wonderful by Warmonk, the kill of 2 harvesters at the natural expansion. It is something we all dream of, but not all of us get the opportunity to do. Warmonk just fantastically catching those 2 harvesters. That was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 4 descents and a lightning spike, I guess. So it's a bit of an investment, but overall, what a delightful way to give yourself a distinct advantage heading into the mid-game. Now, the Operations Center has been deployed, and the second War Factory. We have seen this many times before. Llamas is getting ready to power up for a big mid-game punch. He might try and end the game. He says, I'm behind economically. I need to catch up one way or the other. And if he can play it smart, play it safe with mass Scorpion tanks, lots of upgrades, Scorpion tanks and Scorcher buggies, then that may be his ticket to get back into this game. I would like if he was able to kill off these tips. He actually might be able to kill off the tip spike with just the Confessor, it seems. Portal as a response, going to be keeping that in the main base. Double War Factory pumping those dev tanks. And this is one of those things. Warmonk is going to be ahead on the production. At least he's going to have more cash, I should say, to funnel into his production. Even if he loses the tip spike, that won't make up for multiple harvesters going down. And it looks like shield uplink was utilized to give a little bit of extra health and survivability to these units. And this is 7 dev tanks powered up now. 8 dev tanks as a fresh one spawns in. These are 8 dev tanks ready to go toe-to-toe with these Scorpions. These are auto-loader Scorpions, so they've got that extra damage output, and they're going to be able to target down a couple of these dev tanks very quickly. 2 dev tanks going down, leaving only 7 or 6 remaining as the 3rd dev tank gets eliminated, but these Scorpions are outmatched, and that's the kind of win that Warmonk is looking for. He wants to take a group of these units and just crush them down to nothing so that he can keep the Scorpion tank explosion from happening. If he can keep those Scorpion tank numbers down, he can either transition into his 3rd field, into his late game, into his tripods very nicely, or, ooh, getting that harvester would be nice. Stasis on the MCV! The War Factory as well, completely shut down. Warmonk, it looks like, is in a phenomenal position to take game number 7, put himself in that match point situation, and maybe even lock Lamas out of this 3rd place match entirely. Lightning Spike goes down to distract the forces just north of the field, and the MCV in a dangerous position gets eaten up by the dev tanks, rushing in. The descents as well as the dev tanks crushing forward, and Lamas has nothing left to do. Outplayed, outmaneuvered from the very start. Warmonk in control of this match, and this constant Black Hand Scorpion tank action doesn't always win. His only hope is if he managed to sneak out a flame tank or 3 or 4 to burn through the entire base. Let's go check. Oh, it actually is 3 flame tanks. I was making that up, but he's going to try and do it. There's the liftoff of the MCV. It's actually a base race. Whoa, Lamas almost coming out with a crazy comeback there, but ultimately he was defeated. I was just thinking back to that arena game, and it was like he came back with 1 flame tank. What would it take to come back from this situation? 3 or maybe 4 flame tanks, and then he actually had them. He actually had them, and I guess that was why he was missing so many of those Scorpion tanks. But Lamas, he is playing this one string kind of game, this one consistent strategy, and Warmonk is figuring it out. Lamas is now out of chances. Warmonk has taken the lead back from Lamas, and Warmonk is within 1 game of victory, and that sends us into game number 8. Which brings us to the original, the classic Tournament Dust Bowl, and this is not even the no poker variant. We have got some slots to pull the handle of. We have got some dice to roll in the north as the Cyan Messenger 8 feeling good. This is Warmonk. He just needs to close out this series, but he has been unable to consistently take games off of this guy in the south. The green, the Black Hand, this is Lamas. Similarly, not a lot of room for error. He has got to make sure that he is careful in this case. 1 engineer to the left, 1 engineer to the right. It's a double engineer play, and that engineer needs to get away. Ooh, he's trying to hide behind the building. Great move here by Warmonk. He's going to be able to cut through one of the Cabal squads just fine. The second goes down, and the engineer snipe. What a way to start the game. That is exactly what Warmonk was hoping for. That is exactly what he was desiring, and that feels so good to get that engineer to snipe, to know that your opponent spent that cash, got that extra engineer, and you got the kill. Scorcher Buggy way too late. Scorcher Buggy is going to be able to clean up any remaining buzzers running around the map, but of course way too late to do anything about the engineer. I would kind of not love, but I think Lamas should circle back around after he goes for the scout and start burning down this tib spike with that Scorcher Buggy. We'll see if he actually does that. Warmonk and Lamas showing us just a phenomenal back and forth series. Not every game has been a blockbuster, not every game has been fantastic, but overall this has been a great series, and it's kind of hard to imagine the finals being dramatically better than this. I haven't seen the finals yet, and I'm hoping that they are, but just how good this series has been overall. Again, some of the individual games, not so much, but the series overall has been, and we got potentially 2 more games. So, game number 8, and then we get to go into the finals, or game number 9, and then we get to go into the finals. Either way, we've still got a lot of Kane's Wrath, a lot of One Vision left in this video. Scorcher Buggy not taking my advice, instead going to go for the reactor and almost gets a kill. Honestly, killing the power plant would be a bigger deal at this point than killing that Tib Spike. But as the game goes on, the Tib Spike is the bigger impact overall. Warmonk feeling a lot of strength in that ability to play the mid game, play a big dev tank style. He just has to watch out for those flame tanks around the side. The flame tanks will get you. And if Warmonk was not able to lift off his MCV and fly away, it actually would have been a legitimate base race, and there would have been a chance that Llamas takes that last game, not because he had the superior army, but because he made a strategic maneuver which would have paid off. But flame tanks are terrible at shooting up, and Warmonk can sort of extend the game indefinitely by just flying his MCV around, and the flame tanks can't do anything about it. Scorpion tank moves out, helps get the kill on that Seeker. Refinery and a war factory into the ops center at the natural expansion. It feels like we have seen this build before. It feels like we are on familiar territory once more. Double refinery, nerve center, and warp sphere at the natural expansion. So refinery is a little bit faster for Warmonk, a little bit slower for Llamas. Dev tanks, no upgrades, but actually, okay, going portal. He's not going as fast as a tier 3 as he potentially could. Scorcher Buggy going for the scout. He sees the dev tanks. He probably has a pretty good idea of exactly what is going to be coming his way. And actually, Cabal Squad scouting sees a cluster of 4, maybe even sees this 5th dev tank over there, and he's going to know, okay, I am going to need a lot of something to deal with this. Either, okay, so it's going to be triple war factory again. I feel like this might be an opportunity. Oh, Lightning Spike, a couple of Seekers going to be jumping on one of these Harvesters. Might actually get the kill on the Harvester. The Lightning Spike playing a big role in guaranteeing that kill. And no! Oh, okay, he does. He gets the Harvester. That almost wasn't a guaranteed kill. The second Harvester almost certainly will not die, but it'll take a good chunk of damage. And Warmonk might be able to come back later and get the kill on that Harvester. I'm going to try and keep my eyes peeled on the mini-map. Ooh, Llamas is a sneaky boy with getting those flame tanks out and around the edges. Okay, so we're seeing one of them here. Doesn't mean it's the first one, but we do have at least one flame tank out on the map. And Charles Warmonk does know that this is a possibility. He's looking to cut off the third base, and actually we see ourselves a shield uplink happening as well. Catching 7 of the 9 dev tanks in this little cluster. Of course, more dev tanks pouring in every moment. All right, 1 flame tank. I don't see an additional flame tank, so it might just be the 1 flame tank. Thinking back to our tournament arena game, that might be all you need, and this is actually a great surround with these Scorpion tanks. The Descent's going to be helping out to clean up these Scorpions, and a couple of these Scorpion tanks that are further forward getting absolutely annihilated. That Stasis helping even more. The retreat with the kill by Warmonk swings the favor onto his side, and this is it. That flame tank is going to have to do insane damage on the left side of the map to make up for these dev tanks on the right side of the map. That stasis shield adding insult to injury, making this situation even more impossible as these Scorpion tanks filter out slowly one by one and get eaten up by the dev tanks. Even if you stop the dev tanks, this has still been so much damage. Llamas' only hope is to burn down pretty much everything on the other side of the map as the first tripod emerges and the War Factory gets targeted down, but not much more than that War Factory will go down with that tripod watching over this flame tank. There's the crush, there's the kill as 2 tripods are here, and the hope for Llamas to take it further in this series pretty much disappears unless he has got, I don't know, 2 or 3 more flame tanks in a spot that we don't even know about. Tripods closing in. Charles learning to play on this 2-base style, this scrin dev tank push. It's just so difficult for Nod to stop. And this might be the place where having some rockets would have really paid off. Maybe not going for the flame tank around to the side every single time would have been the way to go. But either way, Warmonk, it looks like, is going to be able to take this series, take third place in this tournament, and close out this best of 9 with a win. Unless Lamas has something really crazy up his sleeve, which he does not. The GG gets called. Warmonk takes the series 5-3. Overall, what a series, what a showcase here. We got to see a lot of stuff that looks similar to Kane's Wrath, but with a little twist. And then we got to see some new stuff entirely, although it didn't always work out, like that Mark of Kane stuff, but it was still cool to see it nonetheless. And that will do it for this series. We have the finals to jump into, and we are going to do that right now. Welcome to Tournament Tower for game number 1 of the finals. We have as the red Steel Talons in the north, Lumos. And as the blue Messenger 8 in the south, this is Dorado. Skrin versus Steel Talons, not something I would have guessed for the finals. Now, of course, we do have Mutant Mercenaries coming out of the gate from our... Oh, the engineer almost gets sniped, but it doesn't! Those Mutant Mercenaries inside of the building doing such a good job of keeping that combat engineer safe. He's got himself a combat upgrade. Oh, he can rank up faster. Not sure how often engineers will rank up, but when they've got that little gun, they have the chance to rank up that much more quickly with the upgrade. All right, into the finals. Lumos and Dorado both having a great performance in the semifinals, and I'm excited to see how they go up against each other in the finals, especially considering how entertaining the third place match was. Hopefully the finals even more so. Just going to get that half load of Tiberium to get that extra bit of cash. It looks like Lumos maybe spent a little bit more than is optimal, getting that bit of defense out, getting those extra units out to keep his engineer safe. Totally necessary, but it does mean that that second refinery is barely slightly delayed just a bit. Now, I do want to mention, I think I forgot to mention this in the semifinal portion of the video, or in the third place portion of the video rather, is that you can install this mod right through Command Post. So if you already have Command Post, that is how you can get the most recent version of this, and that is also how you can get the standard version of the maps. So the standard maps are some of those favorite community-made maps, Highlands, Odyssey, the smashed variants of maps, but they don't have the 1.02 Plus or 1.03 changes baked into them. So they are standard 1.02, the regular version of Kane's Wrath, so that they can be used with mods. So you get those great competitive maps that have been developed over the last decade since the game came out, but you can play them on any old mod that you want, and you can also download that right inside of Command Post as well. Now, I had some trouble getting some maps to line up, and for whatever reason, it seems like in this tournament they played on a couple of maps that they weren't like officially in the map pool, but also I couldn't download for whatever reason. But that's only if you're looking to watch replays of older tournaments, and not if you're playing actively, with your friends or your buddies, or even competitively against other people. You'll get the whole map thing figured out before you ever play the first game, so you won't have any hunting to do like I had to do to watch the replays. That being said, we've got ourselves some dev tanks, we've got ourselves some seeker tanks, and some descents way over here on the left side of the map. They're going to try and jump on these harvesters, and they may find a couple of kills here before Lumos can respond. The MCV moves forward, the command post is there, one harvester down, nice and easy. The second one gets eliminated, and this one Titan is the only thing to respond to this gigantic harvester killing force. I do like kind of that new animation. It looks so chunky and beefy from those Titans, but it's going to be a fourth harvester going down before Lumos even has a chance to get his pants on this morning. He's losing 4 harvesters. Barely it survives. No, it goes down to the seeker tanks. as the Titans are unable to hold their own against the Seeker Tanks, or rather, to stop the Seeker Tanks from massacring those Harvesters. The MCV moving on forward. It's going to be a push right out from Lumos, but it's now kind of a do-or-die situation rather than an aggressive move that he could transition into the late game with. This is sort of a situation where if he doesn't win right here, Dorado is going to take game number 1, almost no contest. Now Titans, 5, 6 of them on the front line, back down to 5 as one of them gets sniped by the dev tanks. I love the idea of using the Corruptors to body block for those dev tanks just a little bit. Lumos also splitting some AP ammo Wolverines down to the south side of the map so he can have a bit of a two-pronged attack. He's going to try and cut in on this army. One thing about that big force going for the Harvesters, it doesn't do anything to stop the stuff that he's already built. You're cutting down on his ability to do anything later in the game, but you haven't stopped these 4, now 5 Titans on the front line. AP ammo Wolverines on the low ground looking to cut down these power plants, but now they're going to join up their Titan buddies on the high ground, and Lumos may have lost that early tussle, but he may be able to transition this into a game number 1 win. And Dorado is not going to have any economy as his main base expires. That Tiberium is going to be so difficult to control on the high ground. Delightful kill of those Harvesters, but these Titans seem unstoppable. 2 photon cannons on the high ground, but the Titans rotating in and out, trying to push forward and then retreat away from the front line. Harvesters on the front line, they're going to get targeted down. A couple of them sneak away with half a load of Tiberium as the dev tanks continue to trade blows, trying desperately to keep every single unit alive. The Harvesters heading back up to the high ground, and Dorado actually does it, keeping the dev tanks alive for a moment longer. And again, just trading out their position, much like Lumos is doing with those Titans. But Lumos is going to be able to stop that harvesting. He's only got 1 refinery and only 2 Harvesters himself, so he's not having a big boon, but he finally catches 2 of those dev tanks that were low on health, surviving for so long, but they finally go down, and an extra Titan popping on out might be just enough firepower for Lumos to walk down this ramp and end this game. I think the longer this goes on, the better it is for Lumos. He manages to sneak out an additional refinery as Dorado calls it quits. And again, that early game strike from Dorado was fantastic, but Lumos already had nearly a game-winning force out on the map. So those Harvester kills weren't enough to stop the already present army from walking across the map and just tearing him apart. Dorado going to flatline in a moment longer, and Lumos going to continue to explode up and up with that economy. Dorado, good moves, but let's see if he can roll it into a game number 2 win on the next map, which takes us to Tournament Highlands for game number 2. Let's kick it over to the left side as the red, as the black hand. This is Lumos. Feeling good with that Steel Talons, but pivoting away. Let's see how he does with a Nod faction. Meanwhile, on the right side, sticking with that Messenger 8, plain blue, this is Dorado. So we've seen it before. Is the Lumos Black Hand going to look similar to the Lamas Black Hand in the semis and the finals? It's a powerful strat, and it does certainly work on some maps. It may even work better on this map here than on some of the other ones. Nice, flat, open map. Traditionally, it feels pretty good for a bike buggy kind of play. Ooh, the engineer gets sniped. Lovely move there by Dorado, sniping that engineer. Denying that extra bit of income for Lumos. Meanwhile, Dorado himself getting a little bit of a slow cap on this second spike, but that's okay. 2 caps is better than 1, and we have got ourselves an operations center right out of the gate. But what kind of op center rush is this? Flame Reckoner, double flame Reckoner into like a second refinery and trying to play this one out a little bit longer. You know, what exactly is it going to be? Okay, so it's going to be a Reckoner included with this. That's a Harvester. Okay. So this is not a speedy rush. This is definitely a bit of a delay on the rush here. We'll see if that causes any problems. It certainly is going to cause some scouting problems as that Reckoner gets viewed very nicely as it exits. But unless a flame tank snuck out somewhere that I am not seeing on the minimap, unless a flame tank snuck out somewhere, then this is just kind of a late, kind of lame Reckoner rush. But only one Reckoner and 2 black hand squads inside of it. I don't know. It doesn't seem particularly good. I guess we'll see. Dorado has definitely had a long time to see this coming, to prepare for it. He even sent a Seeker into the middle of the map, which ended up being kind of a bad move. 2 Seekers in the south, but again, kind of missing the Reckoner. We're playing this dance in the dark, and Dorado making the right choice of retreating maybe a little bit too far. You don't want something to sneak by, especially when you don't know that there isn't a flame tank somewhere. You want to keep your eyes on as many points of entry in your map in your base as possible. Oh my gosh, there's a chance these Seekers actually do get this Engineer as well. That would be phenomenally annoying. The Engineer finally does jump inside of that tib spike. Fortunately for Lumos, he does get that little victory in this game. The MCV unpacks at the natural expansion. Dorado putting on just a hint of pressure. And I have actually lost sight of that Reckoner. Seems Dorado has as well. He has nothing to worry about as it is still a long ways away. I would actually kind of love if Lumos went for an op center at this point and then went for like 3 flame tanks in a row, because it kind of feels like, okay, the Reckoner rush didn't work. We're both transitioning into a natural expansion. Things are going to look normal from here on out. And then it's like, bam, 3 flame tanks in your base, burning down your face, causing some real problems in your space, and there's nothing you can do about it. Scorpion tanks in the middle of the map going to get caught and destroyed by Dorado. Seeker tanks eating them up very easily. 4 Scorps going down, and the Reckoner actually gets, caught out on the edge, not even near the refinery, not even near a war factory, near nothing. These Seeker tanks going to slowly burn away at that Black Hand Squad. Meanwhile, Harvester's getting targeted down. Black Cloak getting activated to save some of these Harvesters, perhaps. But no, it actually goes the wrong way around that Hand of Nod. That was supposed to be a saving Hand of Nod. Fortunately for Lumos, he does get the kill on a number of Seekers and Gunwalkers there. That is sort of the only win that he has had at this point. His Reckoner rush went terribly. His defensive posturing there went terribly as well. It looks like he's getting auto-loaders. I guess he could be getting something else, but I think he's getting auto-loaders, and that's probably it. Prophet's Blessing, 1,500 credits, so that you can get those carry-alls for your Black Hand units, and you can teleport them, well, not teleport, but you can transport them all over the map. All right, Portal at the natural expansion. It's feeling really good for Dorado to be able to even up the score, to say, hey, you may have gotten a victory in game number 1, but I am not going down without a fight. Although these Scorpion tanks aren't going to go down without a fight as they catch the rear armor on those Seekers. And it looks like it might be 1 Scorpion for 1 Seeker there. As the Scorpions do not stand and fight. They may have actually stood a better chance if they stood and fight. Maybe it would have been no different, but 2 Scorpion tanks kind of going down for nothing. The other Scorpion tanks now going to be engaging. They eat up 2 Seekers. In the south, a little bit of Cabal Squad action going on. A couple of rockets mixed in here as well. Gunwalker's going to be able to clean up some of those Cabal Squads, but I don't think all of them. No Harvesters transitioning to the Blue Tiberium in the north. Dorado, on the other hand, going to be harvesting away a bit of this Blue Tiberium in the south and getting it fairly sneakily, pretty much for free, as the Gunwalkers distract these infantry forces in the north. Seeker tanks sneaking by on the left side. Laser turret's going to be able to shut them down. Scorcher buggies helping to clean up those forces. Descents helping to, I guess, do something here in the south, but ultimately the Descent's getting destroyed. Dorado really just covering for that Harvester, getting the Blue Tiberium with those Descents, so good on him. Scorcher Buggy's going to burn down that tib spike. It'll take a while, but they will do it. And that's a harvester full of blue Tiberium. So Dorado managed to sneak out 2 harvesters full of blue Tiberium, and now we are starting to see the flames arise from Lumos. He's starting to work in some of those flame units from Black Hand. Lovely catch here by Dorado. The stasis shield locking down 4 of these tanks. Divide and conquer as he cleans up a couple of the Scorpions as they retreat away. And it looks like he even used the shield uplink to be able to get in some extra armor on these, on those Seeker tanks. Poor Scorpions. Locked down and then just completely annihilated as they spawn back into reality. And that is a difficult dream to awaken from. The Descent's getting the kills there. Seeker Tank's going to be pushing in. It looks like they'll clean up a couple of kills. They're going to push into the natural expansion. Lumos needs to make a strong stand here. He needs to crush the army of his opponent to have much of a chance to transition into the late game. Flame Tank's getting caught in the south, it looks like. There's one in the north as well as the MCV gets caught by these Descents and caught completely destroyed. Goodbye, MCV, as these Descents get called in for the kill. It looks like the Tib Vein detonation cleans up the rest of the Seeker tanks, and it's up to the Flame tanks to do the game-winning damage. The one in the south will not win the game for Lumos, but he has to win the game pretty much on 2 bases if he has much of a chance of taking this game number 2 and stopping Dorado from evening up the score. Flame Tank sneaks by the defenses. Dorado has had so much time to see this potentially and prepare, but Dorado is probably thinking more about taking a 3rd base. The MCV might be the target or the Tier 3. Good choices both for Lumos. He's going to try and pull this game out of the jaws of defeat. This is an extremely expensive section of the map. Going for the Nerve Center, going for the MCV, going for the Tier 3. All 3 great choices, and he gets the Tier 3. A power plant gets deployed, and Dorado does not lift off his MCV, but he is going to lose the Nerve Center regardless, and maybe even a power plant as well. The Flame Tank will go down. Tib Catalyst Missile gets called in, cleans up a refinery, and that is the power punch for Lumos to get himself back in this game. Resetting the tech all the way back to the start of the game might be the one thing that keeps him alive in this match. Lumos got those upgrades. He got that Scorcher army. There's the shield uplink to give these units some extra survivability as the Seeker tanks close in on this army. Going to be absorbing some of the shots with the holograms. MCV packs back up, moves towards the middle. Lumos keeping his hopes alive in this match. Blaine from the back foot for most of this game, but he's looking to make some real progress here and take the middle of the map. If he's able to establish himself in the middle of the map, he definitely has a good chance to take this game. Harvester sneaking away from the south. Someone's still harvesting away in the north, keeping that field relatively low. It looks like it was Dorado stealing away that blue Tiberium for himself. Big focus on those early game units. Seekers, Gunwalkers, Scorpions, and Buggies for both players. Those upgrades will definitely give you a lot of viability for these unit comps that they sort of get phased out a little bit easier. Obviously, Laser Scorps are still powerful if you're playing the original Nod, but not for Black Hand or for Mark of Kane, although I guess new Mark of Kane I don't even think has Scorpion tanks, so there's that going for it. Seekers and Gunwalkers get shut down in the main base of Lumos, but Lumos gets shut down in the main base of Dorado, and they both meet in the middle. The refinery placement is certainly much better for Lumos, but let's see if the Harvesters are actually able to get that harvesting done. Auto blue Tiberium harvesting in the north for Dorado earns that Harvester a death, as he was just auto-harvesting back to the previous field. Ooh, that Harvester almost surviving with the Black Cloak, but not quite being able to stay alive. 3 Harvesters get eaten up one after the other, and you may have presence on the 3rd contested field, but you do not have any economy. Once again, the shield uplink giving some extra survivability to these Seeker tanks. Scorps and Cabals going to be joining up in the middle of the map. Rockets on the south side of the Tiberium field getting in an extra couple of shots as the Scorpion's going to be closing in on this army. The Seeker's going to meet them toe-to-toe, gun-to-gun. Extremely low health Scorpion tanks make it look like they've got better numbers than they really do. Rockets moving in, closing in on a couple more of these Seekers. And actually, Lumos might be able to change the tide right here. He's going to push in. Again, keep in mind, a couple of these Scorpions are extremely low on health, could get eaten up very quickly. Dorado pushes in, backs off, looking to reposition and reposture. Lumos looking to cut off the economy and stop the production of Dorado from exploding. They've both eaten up both of their fields, so this third field really is needed. Scorpion tanks pulling back around. More Cabals rushing to the front line, covering two Harvesters, harvesting away on that field. Buzzers right onto the front line. The Scorpions pull away to the north. There aren't many Seeker tanks left, but there might just be enough to hold them off with the base defenses. And no, the Seeker tanks aren't in good enough numbers. The Rockets are now back on the front line as one Seeker gets pathed the wrong way. Dorado has almost lost it. He's trying to hold on. Lumos keeping that field active behind him, harvesting away at it, fueling fueling his next moves, although it's going to be very long distance harvesting. Two Buzzers around the MCV, trying to cut down on those Cabal numbers so the Descents and the Seekers can work their magic. They catch two Scorpion tanks, but that's not quite enough. No, actually, one of the Scorpion tanks barely survives. Literally 0 health left. And there is going to be the stasis shield, but it may not even matter as the MCV gets deleted and two more Buzzer Hives get deployed to try and save it, but it's not enough. Dorado has been defeated. Lumos takes 2 wins in a row despite some great plays by Dorado. He was not able to take the win, and Lumos, wow, 2 games in a row, taking some seriously bad situations and turning them around. Dorado literally ahead on economy the entire game. Lumos with that flame tank totally resetting the tech, completely stopping Dorado from progressing to the next phase of the game. And that full reset did so much to allow Lumos to come back into that game. What a great play from Lumos. Dorado putting up a good fight, but ultimately not enough for any points on the board. Now let's head into game number 3. Would you look at that? We got to see Highlands, and now we get to see Odyssey. It just wouldn't be a Kane's Wrath tournament if we didn't have these 2 maps. Absolute recurring favorites, it seems, by choice of the community. As the red-black hand in the north, this is Lumos. Opening up with a very powerful 2-0 that has me definitely concerned for the fellow in the bottom left-hand corner, plain blue, plain Messenger 8, Dorado. I won't lie, it feels like those games should have been Dorado's games, but Lumos, he knows the strengths and the weaknesses. He knows sort of the ebb and the flow of the game. When you can take the risk and just punch straight forward even though you've been knocked back. And if Lumos keeps playing like he does, then this might actually be a relatively short finals. We might be seeing Dorado get knocked out of here pretty darn quick. Now, of course, the fan in me wants to see 9 games, heart-wrenching back and forth. But obviously these players, no one wants to play a back-and-forth series. They want to just slam through the other guy and win real easy-like. Man, this Scorcher buggy killing the power plant. It is almost as essential as auto-loaders for those Scorpions. I don't know, is that a problem? Is it a problem how dominant a strategy this buggy Scorpion has been for everyone playing Black Hand? Like, the upgrades are just so good. Man, this Cabal squad joining with the attack, especially since even though it's at half health, it has all 6 of the members, so it's still full damage. And it's like, hey, the Gunwalkers are going to save this, but actually the Gunwalker might not be able to with the second Cabal squad showing up. All right, it looks like it will be able to save it. So, Cabal squad's going to be dealt with, and a second buggy would probably actually have killed off that power plant, but that is neither here nor there. Refinery gets established. Dorado maybe a little bit late on the refinery. And, oh, wait a second! Expansion point and a portal of proxy barracks coming out here for Dorado. What a phenomenal opportunity. And this is the sort of stuff that we might need to see to have him win a game. Now, do not kid yourself. He could totally knock out Lumos's 2 front teeth, and Lumos could still grab him by the collar and kill him in game number 3. But this is a really great opportunity for Dorado to absolutely come back in this series. And with something like this, it could really give him some momentum to continue on. 1 harvester down, nice and easy. The second harvester full of Tiberium going to get eaten up. The descents aren't out of range, and the refinery is now going to be getting shut down. 1-2 punch, easy as pie. And now we just have to worry about the counterattack from Lumos. 1 Scorpion getting shut down, perhaps, and 1 Scorcher. No, the Scorpion doesn't get eliminated, and that Harvester is kept safe by the low power mode. There it spawns in, and that is exactly what Dorado was waiting for. He's hoping to jump back on that Harvester, forcing out 2 Shredder turrets, and actually the Scorpion does eventually die. The Cabals and the Shredder turrets getting the follow-up. And now, of course, you have to, in the back of your mind as Lumos, you have to be wondering where in the world did those come from, and you got to send a unit to scout up that hill. But look at this. Double portal in the south, portal in the north, still producing descents. Dorado is looking for a potential mid-game punch to knock Lumos out of game number 3. Photon cannon gets established. Scorcher buggies, lots of power in them to shut down descents. And this Cabal is going to see these, although it may not. Well, let's see. I thought he was going to see these descents, but he will see at least 3 descent squads. I don't know that he'll actually realize that there is a barracks right up there. Ooh, more descents split off to the very southeastern corner of the map, and going to potentially cause some problems if these Scorpion tanks move away from that area. Lumos is being kept on the back foot. Dorado, with the control in this game, is going to keep himself on those Seeker tanks. And again, he's just keeping Lumos busy. He's got his nerve center up. He's probably cranking towards tier 3. And for the current moment, he's keeping his options alive and keeping Lumos distracted. Lumos, on the other hand, is going to be looking to strike back sooner or later. Lumos himself getting up to that tier 3. Is it going to be for avatars? Is it going to be for something else? Could just be for upgrades. Stealth tanks? He's continuing to pump Scorps. Alright, the buggies have burned through the portal, and now they're going to shut down the expansion point. Dorado is going to be potentially looking to take a regular 3rd base. We'll see. He hasn't picked up his MCV just yet. And looks like no tier 3. Oh, no, he does have tier 3. Way down in the south, getting himself some upgrades as well. Descent's going to start working away on these tib spikes. Pretty much always a good move. Scorpion tank splitting off. Lumos has done a really good job of stabilizing after that damage. Those harvesters getting eaten up. But he's at the point where he can transition out of that. Yeah, the MCV getting caught there was very annoying for Lumos. One of those things that is an unfortunate reality of the abandoned state of this game as far as the official development goes. That kind of stuff is just an unfortunate side effect. MCV still hasn't picked up. Ooh, okay. We've got ourselves a mastermind out on the field. And engineer going for the expansion point, so it's not going to be an MCV move, it's going to be an expansion point. Seeker tanks getting split up. A couple of attacking forces as the upgrades finish for those Seekers, giving them some extra attack power. Stasis chamber, tier 3. This could be a really difficult end game for Dorado, for Lumos to fight against, as he is going to be having some big potential problems that he's facing. Stasis shield, bunch of upgraded screen units, Mastermind running all over the place. Apparently 2 Corruptors? Oh, actually this Mastermind gets scouted. I don't know if Lumos actually saw it, but he came within vision of it, and he may have actually realized that there is a Mastermind out there that he has to worry about. Bunch of Seeker tanks and a couple of descents showing up to the third base. It looks like they may be able to grab a Harvester or 2. For now, they're content to kill off some Cabal squads, and Mastermind staying somewhat safe. It took a little bit of chip damage, but not too much. 1 Harvester goes down. A second Harvester gets eaten up, delaying the third base by that much more, or delaying it from being effective as rocket squads get produced. EMP fires off, although it's not an EMP, it's a shield uplink, as the Storm Column also gets deployed, and it looks like this extractor is going to be kind of getting shut down as the Harvesters cannot safely harvest on this field. Mastermind going for a couple of mind controls, grabbing 1 Scorpion tank it looks like, but the reinforcements might be able to just push this away and clean this up. Mastermind is actually just taking damage from this 1 Scorcher that isn't being dealt with, this 1 Buggy that isn't being shut down. The expansion point gets deleted, the refinery goes down, and the stasis finally activating, holding a couple of Scorpion tanks in place, allowing the rest of them to escape, perhaps. But Seeker tanks now going to be cutting off the natural expansion economy as they catch 2 Harvesters very nicely there. A 3rd Harvester completely full of Tiberium gets eliminated, and a 4th Harvester transitioning down from the high ground gets cleaned up. Lumos has lost almost every single active Harvester on the map, but he has also denied so many Harvesters so much build area from Dorado. Both of these guys just slammed in this game. 4 working Harvesters, 4 Lumos, a 5th one at the main base. And it looks like that is all he's got, which honestly is fine for 1 base economy, but he was hoping to clear up this bit of Tiberium a bit more quickly than he currently is. Dorado forced to move his MCV, and these guys hitting back and forth so consistently. Lumos taking a ton of damage, but always managing to pull out a better position than you think he should be in. Lumos showing some great resilience in these games in this series. MCV redeploying at the third base. I'm not sure what that second engineer was for. I think it was a misclick, just based on the fact that Dorado hasn't actually used it for anything. It's been standing around. It was following the first engineer over to the expansion point, but then it wasn't used to heal anything, or it hasn't been used to do anything. It's just standing around, so I think that was a misclick. Seeker tank's going to be able to eat up those Scorps, eat up those buggies. Couple of double vet and single vet Scorpion tanks get deleted. And, well, Seeker tanks trading sort of 1-to-1 with the Scorps. Not doing well, but not doing poorly. And those upgrades definitely helping both sides be a bit more effective. Ultimately, the Seekers push away the Scorpions. And it looks like, I think just Seeker tanks went down here. I'm not sure that any Harvesters got eliminated. But if they did, Lumos is still Harvester positive from where he was a couple of minute or 2 ago, after he had that big sweep through. Finally, a refinery gets established. Dorado feels like he should be screaming ahead, but honestly, he has been hobbling forward for the last couple of minutes, really not able to get his legs under him like he would prefer. Dorado just not able to... Oh, man, and now he's going to get clicked. Oh, wow. What a bad situation. He is just, again, just had so much trouble trying to get that third base. It felt like, okay, he's going to get the expansion point. He's going to be able to establish a refinery, get some economy working on that field, but that got shut down. And now his second attempt, which is super-duper delayed, also gets shut down. And actually, the Mechapede gets eaten up by the rocket squads, and the Seeker tanks are just trying to trade out against the rockets, but that's never a good situation against Black Hand infantry, so much so that every single Seeker goes down except for a half-health one that's not even participating in the battle. One photon cannon is here, and it looks like Lumos is starting to close in on this third base, once again tightening the noose around Dorado's next, and Dorado has been defeated. Game number 3 goes to Lumos, who is just unrelenting. Once again, it feels like Dorado's game, and then Lumos just will not die. This time, it wasn't sneaky flame tanks around the side. It was just that revenge strike at the third base, and Dorado, again, almost able to get to a point of no return where he can just snowball and win, and that would have been that third base. But then he just flatlines his economy, looking so good, so expansive, and then it just flatlines, and Lumos climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs, and he takes a big chunk of damage, but he transitions out of it so much better than Dorado does, and that is one reason why we have got ourselves the score that we do. Lumos is looking unstoppable, but it's up to Dorado to strike back in the next map. And that sends us to Tournament Arena. Nice and flat and open, but green and with some trees. As the red in the north, playing the RRF, this is Lumos. Game number 1 playing Steel Talons, now in game number 4 playing GDI. Meanwhile, as the blue Messenger 8 in the south, this is Dorado. (3-0). It's up to Dorado to try and upset the pattern. Okay, the buzzers get stopped. Whew. That would not be a good way to start this out. Do not despair, Dorado. But boy, are things looking good for Lumos. I mean, it's a best of 9. It's a long series. 3 games is not an insurmountable difference. I mean, just look at the third place match. We did not have 3 in a row, but, I mean, the final score was indeed 5-3, so Dorado can, not easily. Dorado technically can come back from this point. It would be very difficult. Like, oh my gosh, Lumos in these 3 games has been so solid, so almost on another level, just mechanically, from Dorado, that it feels like it's going to be really hard for Dorado to take 5 games, but I'm holding out hope. I would love to see Dorado bring us to a 5-4 score. I would love to see Dorado really bring out the games and, I don't know, either switch things up. Messenger 8 is, I mean, it's almost working for him every single time. He's not playing badly, but it's just not closing the deal like Lumos is. Blue Tiberium is available for both of these guys, and Lumos goes for it right out of the gate. Now, we did see him drawing out those buzzers from the bunkers, and so he was able to get that Blue Tiberium without eyes watching him directly. I'm sure in Dorado, in the back of his mind, Dorado is thinking, he's probably taking that Blue Tiberium now, but he does not see it exactly. He doesn't know about it directly. Harvesters on the front line. First Predator tank showing up to the natural expansion, and a little bit of cash flow problems as the Watchtower gets deployed, a power plant behind it, and it's all about the juke and the drive of these Harvesters. Oh my gosh, is he going to save them both, even if the Seeker tank's closing in? No, finally, a Harvester will go down. The second Harvester does manage to survive. But actually, which Harvester was it? That's the empty Harvester, so that's the fresh Harvester, not the one that spent its life transitioning to the natural expansion and going for that Tiberium. Descent's getting cleaned up. Nice manual targeting there by Lumos. and this is a great start for Dorado, but how many times have I said that? And now we're just waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under Dorado, for him to fall on his face, and for Lumos to take another win in this series. But this start is phenomenal. Natural expansion, he has got that green Tiberium humming. He's got 2 refineries, plenty of harvesters, and he has got a load of blue Tiberium arriving at his natural expansion just now. Predator tanks are coming in, but he's got descents on the ground to deal with that. He is probably following it up with apparently nothing out of the war factory, so I don't know. Maybe he's got secret tanks somewhere on the map. I don't see them, but maybe he's got them somewhere. I guess we have no flame units to burn down buildings quickly, but Corruptors can kind of do that. We saw a couple of Corruptors make some short work of some stuff. AP ammo most likely on the way as the command post gets deployed, so we will not have any special late-game upgrades. No turbines, no railguns for these Predator tanks. And like Tournament Tower, it is going to be a push right down the middle. Now, Predator tanks don't quite have that je ne sais quoi of the Titans, but there's still a powerful force, especially packed along with these APCs. The APCs jump on the descents in the north, and Lumos is starting this attack out right. He's going to be able to jump on this dev tank as well. 2 dev tanks and a photon cannon right at the start, but the phase catches every single harvester and keeps them safe. Beautiful move there by Dorado, and that might be something that keeps him alive, but let's see what kind of infrastructure damage is done. Stasis locks down a chunk of those Predator tanks, but can Dorado get the kill? 2 dev tanks. No, it's actually a tripod finally making its way out onto the field, and these Predator tanks and these APCs looking to do that damage to the harvesters now that they're no longer phased. 1 harvester down, 2 harvesters get eliminated just as the tripod arrives at the front line. The Predator tanks come back online. War Factory for those repairs, and Lumos brings the pain. He brings the thunder, and those just riflemen crossing through the Tiberium. This base is shut down. Dorado cannot take the direct assault from Lumos. Every single time, this is where he crumbles. He just does not have the ground forces to hold on. He had a great start, but he was not prepared for a base push from Lumos. This double war factory on the front line, the huge Pred tank army, the APCs, he just was not ready for this. Looks like he got some upgrades. Yeah, it's a nice idea, but ultimately he just lacks that mid-game army to do anything to stop Lumos. Sitting with this loss, Dorado, I mean, Lumos is feeling just phenomenal from this point forward. I mean, a whole war factory on the front line. It's kind of a joke having 3 war factories on the front line like this. He honestly doesn't even have like that phenomenal of economy behind this. A couple of harvesters not even really working. And, I mean, at this point, Dorado is, I guess he's technically still in this game. It's almost like this replay is glitched out from the fact that Dorado is just not doing anything. Pred APC is going to close in, and goodbye Dorado, unless he has got an amazing play up his sleeve. It honestly wouldn't even really matter unless he could simultaneously kill every building at once. The base race would go to Lumos. Once again, Lumos just outplaying Dorado. Dorado would have had a chance if the MCV didn't cross the map and just choke all of the oxygen out of the room. Just choke Dorado directly out. He had a great setup there at the natural expansion, but nothing. No, nothing. All right. Lumos takes a 4-0 lead heading into game number 5. And that sends us to Smashed Dust Bowl. I've enjoyed that we've been seeing this map recently. I like it as a little bit of a variation to regular downtown Dust Bowl. In the south, playing as the Black Hand, as the red, this is Lumos. Just playing phenomenally this series, playing great this tournament. Having a tight semifinals, but a not-so-tight finals as he's just crushing it. Meanwhile, in the north, as the blue Messenger 8, this is Dorado. I've really enjoyed seeing Lumos play in this game. The engineer will barely... No, he doesn't grab the spike! Oh, I thought he was barely going to get it by like a nanosecond. A nanomillisecond. Barely anything at all, by 1 frame. But, that engineer died. All right, Dorado wins the game. We'll take it as a spiritual victory for Dorado. At this point, Dorado could walk across the map and kill 2 harvesters, and I would still expect Lumos to win the game. I'd be like, yeah, sure, Lumos lost the engineer and 2 harvesters, and Dorado has 3 bases already, but Lumos will take this game. And of course, at this point, reality check, Lumos is down 0-4 in a best of 9. Is it possible for someone to come back 5-0 when they have just been drop-kicked 4 times repeatedly? Sure, yes. It's always possible, technically. It's always, the hope is always alive. But we're also in that point where Lumos would have to just really mess up 5 games in a row to not close out this series with that last win that he needs. Once again, power plant killing with Scorcher Buggy and with the Cabal squad. Double War Factory does get spotted. Oh my gosh, the first attack bike. I forgot that Nod had that unit. But we have got ourselves some attack bikes. Double War Factory, the MCV, I believe, got sold. Yep, it is a double War Factory, double refinery, all in. So a slight variation, but this is Dorado's best chance to take this game. He killed the engineer early on. He's got not quite a pocket natural, but honestly not a bad spread as far as main base to natural. It's not that open. You can transition the harvesters pretty quickly. It's not a choked out kind of base where the transition from main to natural is really dangerous. So Bike Buggy all in is going to be tough, and Dorado doesn't have a great track record of holding this kind of pressure from Lumos, but this is definitely winnable from Dorado's perspective. He can put a point on the board, he can take a game away from Lumos, and he doesn't have to do a crazy amount. He just has to kind of hold the line, and he'll be in a better spot than Lumos. Already, he's not done it, but that was a phenomenal. I mean, Lumos committed in there with that attack. He didn't even get one single harvester. He just committed a bunch of units to it. He hasn't grabbed this Tib Spike yet. He has now, which means we know that that engineer is no longer in play. There's no MCV, there's no barracks, there's no funny stuff around the corners of the map. That engineer is off the table. There's no flame units going to be jumping out of that war factory to come around and get a comeback win for Lumos. It's just Bike Buggy, Scorpions as well, always the potential to rebuild from nothing with a fresh MCV out of a war factory, sell off one of the war factories and transition to a natural expansion. Always an option. But it'll slow everything down from Lumos, and again, Dorado will have the best chance that he's ever had at taking a game off of Lumos in the finals. Bikes commit to the attack a little bit there, not a full commitment. They're not going to sacrifice themselves all to get the kill. Couple of descents going to be going down, but that might trap the buggies as one buggy goes down, cleans up like 2 descents for it. Not a great trade overall. 5 seeker tanks, maybe more, as it's difficult to count all of those health bars. Yeah, 6 seeker tanks going to be closing in at the natural expansion into the main base of Lumos, and Lumos just wants to keep Dorado busy. Rather, Dorado wants to keep Lumos busy so he can jump on this harvester. He splits his damage. He starts attacking that Scorpion tank. A bit of a mistake there, but he finally gets the harvester. There's the sell-off, and Lumos is going to call it quits on game number 5. He will not have a perfect score. He will not have a perfect record in this tournament. Dorado finally puts a point on the board and it only takes a bike buggy all-in from Lumos to do it. Big sell-off there. If Lumos didn't have that attack closing in on his harvesters, he maybe would have tried to fight that one out a little bit longer, but the final nail in the coffin was Dorado's push in with those Seeker tanks. That'll do it for game number 5. Finally, Dorado fighting back. Let's see what happens in game number 6, which sends us to tournament decision. This is the no poker variant of the map, so it's easy to secure that Tib spike. As the blue, Messenger 8, finally putting a point on the board, this is Dorado. And as the red, playing as the RRF, this is Lumos. The first crack in the armor of Lumos. It might be a herald of things to come, or it might be one minor slip-up in which he did something very risky that really hasn't been in favor for 3 or 4 or 5 years, perhaps. It's been a long time since the bike buggy all-in works. Now, that was a little bit of a variation on the classic build that we saw from 2014, 2015, when it was really dominant as a way to consistently win games. That was a double refinery variant, more horsepower behind it in terms of the harvesters, and it hits a little bit later, but it has a little bit more longevity, and it gives you more opportunities to transition out of it into a quote-unquote normal game if you do that damage to your opponent, which, of course, Lumos did not. Dorado held it off. It was not a particularly technical hold. It was not some kind of phenomenal thing, but the real game winner was those sneaky Seeker tanks around. That's the wrong way! Yeah, that's right. The real game winner was those sneaky Seeker tanks around the side, which was a genius move by Dorado, and the sort of thing that I always aspire to do, but I'm always a little too scared to do in my own play. That's that moment where you see a game-winning opportunity if you can just find a way to make it work. All right, the MCV was moving, and for a moment it looked like it was taking a dangerous path up this hill and over down the other hill for a base push to potentially end game number 6 in quite a quick fashion as well. Instead, third refinery is going to be getting positioned there, and this MCV position just gives you a little bit more space between all of your refineries, so hopefully a catalyst missile doesn't totally sink you in the water. Other than that, early game scouts coming out from both players. Delay on the third refinery of Dorado here. Lumos having his third refinery up, I don't know, 20 seconds earlier, 30 seconds earlier, something like that. And everyone just keeping an eye on the other player. A couple of scouts here, taking a bunker, running around the map with infantry, just trying to keep an eye on your opponent and see what they are up to. Even all of these years later, I think this is the only map where you start and you get 3 refineries on your main field. All other maps are 2 refinery fields. I would love to see another 3 refinery field. 3 refinery main base, rather. Small town, no. Six City has a 3 refinery natural expansion because you have no third on that map. But, yeah, I would love to see another map kind of like this. This is the only one in the pool in the 100 years that people have been making custom maps. Okay, we have got ourselves a tech center. We have got ourselves an airfield on this 1.5 base play from Lumos. Dorado's response, for now he's playing it nice and safe. He's got himself a nerve center and a stasis chamber, and there's actually going to be a scout revealing possibly everything for Lumos, and yeah, actually, perfect placement of that tier 3 completely outside of that scan range, but the scan does sort of reveal everything else that Dorado has going on. Firehawks, no Stratofighter just yet, no hard points, so these are these anti-air Firehawks? Is he predicting Storm Riders. Double War Factory, still on one field. Still just not really wanting to commit to that natural expansion. Lumos, on the other hand, deploying his MCV. And he's actually... Oh, if he has anti-air missiles... Oh, that was so close, that drone ship, and he's going for the stasis. Oh, he gets them both! The splash in between the buildings, he gets them both as Secret Tanks coming in, and they're actually going to be able to potentially catch these Firehawks on the deck. One Firehawk taking a lot of damage from those discs, but ultimately just barely, not enough to kill it off. The Harvester survives, the Firehawk survives. Dorado's little attack here comes close to doing some very nice damage, but ultimately it's still a touch far away. No, he gets it! The Firehawk goes down, and this Harvester getting so close to being eliminated. And it was actually just literally within like one volley, maybe two volleys of being eliminated there. But it survives. Oh, wow, Armory, and our first epic unit production facility of the entire tournament as far as the games that I have covered. Dorado, is he ready for a Marv to step out onto the field? And this is the, I think this is the refining process of this entire field as well. So this is going to be, you know, Lumos looking to harvest that field up with his Marv, and that will be that. Firehawks split off to the north side of the map, way up into that corner. Stratofighter or Hardpoints, probably Stratofighter, is getting researched there as the Pitbulls swing through the main base of Dorado. Four tripods now with that upgrade. Negative energy lance, so that energy lance, that's why it's black, I guess, instead of being some other color. Predator tanks might be just kind of distracted by these tripods as the descents close in on some Harvesters. A couple of these Predator tanks getting eaten up by those descents, and the Firehawks returning home, one of them going down. But ultimately, this attack cutting through a lot of those Predator tanks, which means it's just going to be up to this Marv and these Jugs, these Zone Troopers in the south to pretty much cut through Dorado's main base and kill him off, because everything here is going down. Zone Troopers may be able to... No, they won't be able to do anything. The Zone Troopers literally just getting eaten up by those Gunwalkers. And, well, even two Pitbulls going down. The Tier 3 gets sniped. It looks like those Firehawks have been putting in some good work, but ultimately they need somewhere else to land because their home is dead. The Marv gets, well, everything over here pretty much gets sold off to try and keep hope alive, and Dorado is actually in a phenomenal position here to close out this game. He might have to pivot and fly away from the Marv, fly up to the north, which could be a real problem, but for the current moment, he might just be able to base race Lumos and kill him off that way. It might not even be the fact that he fights the Marv. He may just literally be able to just leave, just go for the kill on the buildings. Oh, the opportunity is about to disappear as that Marv retreats away from the natural expansion of Dorado. This Marv is going to be hard to kill. Okay. Charge up those shields. There's 3 tripods here, which is enough to EMP that Marv, but it's going to be difficult with everything else that's here. Okay, those Firehawks weren't going to be doing anything anyways, but they're really not going to be doing anything now. Tripods moving forward. One of them is Double Vet. No, that's actually a Gunwalker that's about to get eliminated. MCV is on the front line, but the tripod's eating up those Juggernauts, and the repair drones getting activated. Sonic Emitter is here, but the power plants can get targeted on the left side of this base. The Marv is so careful to try and dance around these tripods. The tripods don't want to engage at distance. They want to EMP that Marv, but only a power plant remains. Just suicide everything on the power plant. That's the only thing keeping Lumos in this game. The tripods can't stand against the Marv. It's too powerful, but they can kill the power plant. No, the descents and the Gunwalkers closing in from the south, and Lumos will have the more powerful army, but he will not be able to keep this power plant alive. No, he does. He keeps it alive just barely. Everything is coming down to one power plant for Lumos. And Dorado doesn't have to win the game right here. He just has to stop himself from losing. All right, foxholes getting established around this power plant. Going to shut down the husks. You got to kill off those husks so they don't come back to eat up your power plant. The power plant gets healed back up to full, but Dorado just has to crash in. He probably thinks that there's more, that there's something else somewhere on the map, but there really isn't. It's just that one building, and the sonic emitter keeping it alive. The Marv pushes forward. The MCV retreats. It flies away. This Marv now up to a veteran status, looking to go elite. Perhaps if it kills all of these harvesters, it will. The harvesters escape for the current moment. The Marv gets the crush on one harvester as it cleans up these leeches as well. All right, the Storm Rider is coming in, and that will be game. It'll take a while for the Storm Rider to kill off the power plant, but Dorado doesn't have anything that shoots up. Or, excuse me, Lumos doesn't have anything that shoots up, and Dorado has two things that fly. So he can never be killed as long as he keeps that MCV in the sky. And sooner or later, Lumos will run out of cash. But now that there are two Storm Riders, it is a done deal. So close to having the last victory, the last game in his pocket, and he barely won't get it, almost more on a technicality than anything. As long as the MCV is in the sky, Dorado cannot lose this game. It doesn't matter how much firepower is in this Marv, that this Marv is going to crush this entire base, that the Marv would destroy the MCV if it landed. It just has to not land for Dorado to win this game. Everything that Dorado has on the ground can't beat the Marv, but it doesn't matter, and here we go. Lumos has been defeated. Dorado takes 2 games in a row and sends us into game number 7, feeling all tingly. I can't believe he pulled that one out. 2 games in a row. One, Lumos handed to him, and this one, he recognized the situation that he was in and that he didn't have to fight the army directly. And Lumos, if that game had played out a little more traditionally, Lumos would have won. The tournament would be over. The finals would be finished. But Dorado keeping hope alive and sending us into game number 7. Welcome to Tiki Turmoil. This is the slightly broken variant. It looks like we are missing some assets, so we don't get to see the Nightmare Walrus Man, but we do get to see the next stage of the finals as Lumos comes so close to just winning it all, to closing it out, and yet not quite being able to do it. In the north, as the red, or RRF, this is Lumos. And keeping hope alive, just barely giving us all the show that we want to see as the Messenger 8. This is Dorado. 3 more games, and Dorado will have it. I would be just overjoyed to see a best-of-9 reverse all-kill. Just the reverse clean sweep, something that we've never seen in Kane's Wrath, but that's partially because there haven't been that many best-of-9s in Kane's Wrath by comparison to best-of-5s, best-of-7s. But even so, the clean sweep in every competitive game is so unlikely, it's so uncommon, and yet we see the beginnings of one before our eyes. Lumos, he tried some risky builds. He tried some, fairly normal stuff, but just with some serious disadvantages, as it turned out. And now, well, he's back to GDI, so he's sticking with that GDI for a couple of games in a row. Not going for the black hand kind of stuff, just normal old GDI. And Tiki Turmoil is one of those maps that, we haven't seen a ton on it. The players are probably mostly familiar with it, and it can play quite well as a split map, but it has just enough variation in terrain and the layout of the 3 bases that it doesn't play out quite as stalematey as something like Tournament Galaxy. Tournament Galaxy has sort of a similar layout, all things considered, But I guess Tiki Turmoil, I don't know, it's just something about the design is just different enough that it doesn't have that stalemate quality that Tournament Galaxy does. Predator tanks and standard macro play are the menu for Lumos. Seeker tanks and standard macro play are looking to be the menu for Dorado. So if you wanted a nice, normal, happy, macro-oriented game to potentially finish it out or to continue Dorado's comeback, then that is exactly what we are getting, and that is very understandable. Full load of blue Tiberium for Dorado, not so much for Lumos, although Dorado, realizing his own blue Tiberium harvester timing, has sent 2 Seekers and a Buzzer to do a little bit of scouting over at the blue Tiberium of Lumos. Catching a harvester would be great in this situation. Rifleman shows up at the natural expansion of Dorado, and it looks like those riflemen are going to get eaten up. And he does see the refinery. He sees that the harvesters are working away. He doesn't get a great view of the field, but he can surmise that there isn't a whole lot of harvesting that has happened there. And Dorado is not going to sit on his laurels. He is instead going to open up a bit of an opportunity for himself. 5 Seeker tanks on the right side, 2 Seeker tanks in the main base. You have to deal with both of them, and Lumos is not quite in a good position to deal with both of them easily. He's going to take a bit of damage, but not necessarily any harvester kills. It looks like the harvester back home is safe, and the Seeker tanks will actually kind of join up together and all get eliminated by Lumos at the same time, it seems. Lumos not taking big damage, Dorado not doing big damage, and, you know, maybe finding a bit of an edge here or there, but in these previous games, ooh, he's actually going to get a harvester there. These 3 Seeker tanks somehow managing to survive the sweep of the forces from Lumos. Lumos was sweeping through this area with like 1 million APCs, a bunch of Predator tags, and he did not kill off those Seekers, so he's going to lose a harvester for it. We see him sell off a war factory so he can reposition both of his war factories kind of onto the front line, and he's actually going to be leading a charge with his MCV. 5 Seeker tanks sneaking back into the natural expansion of Dorado, and they're just kind of get split up, separated away from each other, and it looks like they're all going to get eliminated. Lumos now kind of hemming and hawing, not quite finding a strong central attack vector to engage along. We got shock troopers here for one reason or another. For whatever reason, shock troopers being added to the menu for Dorado, and he's going to play this one out a little bit defensively. And unlike that game on Arena, where this base push happened and the Pred APC rocked up to the expansion, this is just maybe a little bit later than that, maybe because of the size of the map or whatever, and it feels like Dorado is going to have a better chance of holding this. We'll see if he actually is able to hold this. This is still a lot of firepower he has to deal with. The Stasis Shield is going to do a phenomenal amount of work to help Dorado hold this off, and it may be just enough. That Storm Column and the Stasis Shield locking down those, 3 Predator tanks and 3 APCs is just enough to break this attack for a moment and give Dorado some extra time to respond to this attack from Lumos. It still does not deny this position that Lumos has, this phenomenal amount of firepower that he's got closing in on the natural expansion, but it gives Dorado just another moment to try and hold this off. Natural expansion is taking a bit of damage. The harvesters will survive. Seeker tanks trying to sneak around the side, and the tripods are getting cut down. It looks like Lumos is coming for the win. Lumos is coming for his trophy. He's going to bust down the refineries. He's going to bust down the tripods to do it, and he's going for the tier 3 directly. All macro all the time. Lumos is going to get the kill, and he is going to back off so that he can choke Dorado out. He doesn't go for the win right this moment. He goes for the kill on the MCV. He goes for the kill on the production, on the economy, rather than trying to chase down this one tripod. That is not his goal. That is not his game-winning move. And from this point, Dorado has been defeated. 2 games for the comeback, but not a third, as Lumos takes the win and takes the tournament 5 games to 2. an absolute powerhouse performance for the first 4 games, and then a couple of slip-ups, but ultimately a strong closer here. Once again, the macro and the mechanics of Lumos giving him the edge over Dorado. Dorado having some nice moves, but never able to get the win. A bunch of those little Seeker Tank attacks, trying to work some damage here and there, just not getting it done. I think all 3 or 4 of those Seeker Tank attacks that he put out throughout that game only killed 1 Harvester. And that just wasn't enough to stop Lumos. Once again, Lumos, great performance, and Dorado putting up a good show, but ultimately Lumos the better player in this tournament. Thank you all very much for watching. How do you feel about One Vision? We have 3 projects before us, all trying to answer the same question of how do you fix competitive Kane's Wrath. They have 3 different answers and 3 different approaches. 1.02 Plus is my personal favorite. I would love to see One Vision because I feel like this is an avenue that can develop into the most perfect version over time, but it also could just, not be as good competitively as the original game with some bug fixes. So, I don't know. We'll see long term. I feel like 1.02 Plus or One Vision is the way to go, but maybe 1.03 will finally win people over. Who knows? But let me know what you think. What do you think of One Vision? What do you think of the approach of the Filthy Casual? And what do you think he is, long term? What do you think he should do? I'm sure he would be open to some feedback and some ideas, but obviously he's got many more things planned for the future, and you can check out One Vision either on ModDB or through Command Post. Again, a big thanks to Phantom for putting on this tournament, for running tech support for me behind the scenes, helping me get all of these maps working. As you can see, we had some problems with the maps throughout the tournament, but you guys won't have to worry about that because they'll be fine when you actually go to play on the mod. That'll do it for this video, for this series, for this tournament. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Sybert, signing out.